During an interview with Politics Joe, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage made an interesting comparison between himself and another political outsider. And you might be surprised about who he's talking about. Take a look.
We spoke to someone earlier who used to be a Jeremy Corbyn voter,
yeah,
and he's moved towards reform. What do you think the crossover is there, if any?
Oh, well, anti-establishment, obviously. A sense that the giant corporates now dominate the world that we live in, that politics is very much in the pockets of the big corporates. And it's where it's where my thinking and Corbyn's does cross over. I mean, Corbyn was a Eurosceptic right from the very start because he thought that what Brussels would do is be good for big banks and big businesses and bad for everybody else. Well, he was pretty much right. So there are some crossovers, yeah. And similarly, quite a lot of Trump voters would in the past have thought Bernie Sanders was the guy that they would have voted for. And the unfairness of the economic system as it's currently structured, I think, is at the root of it.
Interesting, right? Interesting. I don't think anybody would have predicted that a few years ago, although Farage has often said that he has things in common with Galloway, for instance. I remember them campaigning on Brexit together. But that is a really interesting overture, I think particularly to people under 45 who, simply put, have absolutely nothing to gain from the economic status quo. Zero. They might be graduates. They're probably very overqualified for the job they're in. They're not earning enough to buy a home. They're not seeing their wages really buy more over time. They probably aren't going to get a particularly lucrative pension when they retire, if they retire. State pensions are probably going to be kaput by then. Best case scenario, they're waiting to inherit something when their parents pass away. By the way, what a way to live. I can begin to live my life and have housing security when my parents die, right? That's how screwed up things are right now. We like to look at other countries and go, oh man, Iran, North Korea. It's really screwed up. You get housing security when your parents die. What a way to live. And I do think for people under 45, some of whom really liked Corbyn, maybe still do, right? Maybe they voted for an independent or even the Greens at the last election. I'm not saying this is a mass phenomenon, but I wonder where those people will be by 2029. They say, you know what? The Tories didn't make my life any better. Labour's not made my life any better. Give them a try. I do think there's going to be a decent number of those people. Of course, that general election is a long way away, 4.5 years away, possibly. So, predictions are a fool's game. Last week, Elon Musk was going to give Reform £78 million, $100 million. And then, of course, over the weekend, he told Farage he wasn't the right man to lead the party. Who knows? Political projects from the outside, insurgents, the wheels can come off really quickly. But right now, Reform are polling really, really well. They might even finish second, according to some polls. They could get 100 plus MPs. And I think this is a real challenge. The gauntlet is being put down now to the left, progressives. What is the offer to the young person who doesn't ever see themselves getting on the property ladder, who's 50, 60,000 pounds worth of student debt? They see no future for themselves in this country. What is the offer to them? You can't just call these people racist and bigots and all that stuff and expect that to work. That's not going to feed them, right? That's not going to pay the student loan repayments. That's not going to pay the council tax. It's not good enough. You might think that, you might believe it. It's not adequate ahead of that next general election.